Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of Chin-Quee Chats, the bite-sized podcast where we talk movies, sports, and everything in between. I'm your host, Matthew Chin-Quee, and this week I am joined by my good friend, the editor supreme, king of editing world, Mr. Manning Franks. How are you doing, Manning?
I appreciate the title of being dubbed king of the editing thing. I will wear this crown and put it on my email so people will know exactly who I am when I send them things. No, it's appreciative to be on here. I'm super happy to be able to talk to you. I've been waiting to get on Chin-Quee Chats for a while, so I'm glad this is the case. When we get to talk a multitude of things like DC and Marvel, because, you know, that's always a thing.
What else is there to talk about? I actually don't talk. I mean, I don't talk about them that much. I don't think on
you don't.
My show.
You don't. I mean, in the general public and the general world.
No. Yeah, I generally try to stay away from them just because I'm like you were talking before this. We both are generally pretty tired of it, but there comes a time where that's really the biggest news to talk about, and you know, that's all there is. But we're gonna go straight into the cinema chat where we're talking big DC news, and by big DC news, as per usual, it's a rather mess. It's kind of up in the air. The Warner Brothers PR machine seems to be non-existent. That's a hint for you guys to hire me, Warner Brothers, if you guys are listening. I could clean this up real nice. But
I think anyone could at this point.
I'm pretty sure anybody could at this point. So for those who don't know the news, let's start from the beginning. A few days ago, Casey Affleck came out and said that Ben Affleck, so Casey Affleck is Ben Affleck's younger brother, that Ben Affleck won't be appearing in the Batman solo film that is being directed by Matt Reeves. Now, Affleck previously had said that he was directing it, and then he wasn't. He dropped out, and then there's been so many reports about him not being happy with the script and not being happy with the Batman. And then we hear that the Batman might not even exist within the DCEU. Now, what's going through your brain, Manning, when you're hearing all this negative news about the Batman, when this really should be a film that's pretty easily made?
The first thing that goes into my brain when I'm thinking about the possibility of Ben Affleck leaving Batman for this movie that could possibly be set earlier and be possibly separated from the DCEU, the first thought that pops into my mind is, what is going on? I don't understand what they're trying to do, what their goal is. It feels like they're running around with basically like a chicken with their head cut off right now. And they're just kind of twitching because they don't understand that, we have a vision. Sure, totally. Where's my head? I feel like they need to get all their eggs in a basket. Continuing with the I guess the chicken analogy, because they are putting the cart. Okay, I gotta start with the analogies. I must put more analogies here. But okay, in layman's terms, why? This should not be so hard to get a Batman film right, as you were saying. Ben, I thought, was situated on it. But apparently there's something in the air or someone's letting laundry dry when it shouldn't be. But I don't know. It's confusing to say the least. What I'm trying to say is I don't know.
Yeah, that basically sums up my thoughts. It's really hard to understand because first you get Ben Affleck. He's done films like Argo, In the Town, and Gone Baby Gone. And those are all films that are... Gone Baby Gone is basically a Batman film. It's a detective film, and so is Argo. It's a crime film. You just combine those, and you got a great film. He wrote and directed those films. He should have been great for that. And in my opinion, he was the best part of Batman v Superman. He's my favorite Batman. So everything seems to be going to come together. He seemed excited. He is a Batman fan. This dude built a Batcave in his house, apparently. And then all of a sudden, he's dropping out. And then you hear this news that he's not content with it. Maybe Casey was just joking around, you never know. But the fact of the matter is, as you said, all this dirty laundry is out in the air and nobody's there to kind of be like, okay, everybody calm down. This is just all blown out of proportion. on the Ben Affleck side. For the Batman side, in terms of it being outside DCU, Matt Reeves, the director, did come by and clarify and say that it is in the DCU. But what I think is interesting is that he didn't clarify Affleck's involvement.
Yeah.
What do you think of Ben Affleck as the Batman? Do you think he should be in it for the future, or do you like him in it right now, or what?
To start off, before I go on this journey, yes, absolutely. I want him to continue to come back. I want him to kill less people, but I want him to definitely come back as Batman, because he's a fantastic Bruce Wayne / Batman. He managed to embody the character in less than one film and might be my favorite. I need another one. I don't want to jump the gun like I did with Tom Holland to Spider-Man in Civil War, but I want to say he's probably my favorite interpretation we've had so far. That's not Kevin Conroy. But I'm not the biggest DCEU fan. I have never been. Man of Steel, I was bored with on some parts and just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth because I feel like I didn't know what it wanted to be. It had these grand visions that it was trying to tell, this grand message that I didn't feel resonated in the best way that it could have. And then we also had BVS, which was an absolute mess. And I have not seen the extended, so there's that. But it was just an editing nightmare. As an aspiring editor, it kind of like hurt me to watch it. And then Suicide Squad was, well, I had fun. Never gonna see it again. I can tell you that. But then Wonder Woman came along and I was blown away. I cried, I think. I can't remember. I've lost track of how many movies I've cried in this summer. But I thoroughly enjoyed Wonder Woman. I loved it. Favorite superhero movie of this year. And it might be in my top 5, depending on, subsequent rewatches. But this direction of where the DCU is going, with its sporadic nature and the reactionary news they seem to be giving out and the mixed signals, it doesn't leave hope for someone like me who hasn't had the best track record with them personally. I know some people love them, and yeah, great. I'm glad some people enjoy these movies. They just haven't been for me, be it quality or subject matter or direction even. And this is not comforting for people who are on the outside looking in specifically, because I feel like they're going to alienate the population if they continue to throw out movies like this that don't seem to have an end goal, because I feel like they just announced literal like a Gotham City Sirens, and the next thing you know, wait, no, just kidding, it's actually a Joker Harley movie. Oh, no, wait, it's just a Harley Quinn movie. They need to get their PR situation under control.
Yeah, and in today's media landscape with movies, stuff, and Warner Brothers isn't the only studio that's victim to this.
Yes.
Not to make this a Marvel vs. DC thing, but Marvel has had PR nightmares before. They've had more trailer leaks than DC has, but I think the difference is that for some of the faults that Disney may have, like keeping Walt Disney's frozen head in Pirates of the Caribbean ride, they are really good at spinning a story and really keeping things under control. For example, when the Age of Ultron trailer leaked, they had that incredible tweet, "Damn it, Hydra," and then they just released the thing. Now, this is obviously a very different situation, but I feel like every proposed movie that comes out of Warner Brothers' slate is just a half-baked idea. And they're just like, hey, let's just do that. People know this. But what is really strange, and this is from someone who really tries to see the best in the DCEU, as most of you guys know, I'm a bigger DC fan than I am a Marvel fan, but I haven't been super impressed by DCEU. I haven't been super disappointed, but I haven't been super impressed either. With this DCEU, what really is bothering me is the fact that you just had a hit with Wonder Woman. Basically, everybody loved that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you have its naysayers, but every movie has its naysayers. And then all of a sudden, you seem to be back on track. Justice League looks good. You have a good Comic-Con panel. And then everything's just a nightmare again. And nobody can go pick that up except the director. And he does that a day late. That doesn't really make much sense to me.
Yeah, it feels like right now it's I can't stop doing analogies because apparently I love them so much. But it's like I'm getting mixed signals right now from the DCEU. I thought they had it right on track. At the beginning of this year, I thought they had a wonderful plan going, and they still might. But right now, I feel like my crush has just kind of like been giving me these mixed signals for the past few days, and I want them to let me know, hey, so are we still a thing, or it's discomforting, I will say, because I want to be a fan. I want to love these movies because I am also a big DC fan. Young Justice and Justice League and JL Unlimited were my jam. In Teen Titans, I grew up with those shows.
Yeah, it really is baffling because a lot of the people our age grew up with those shows. Just in terms of social media, everybody knows who the Teen Titans are. And there are overlap with these characters, and it wouldn't be hard to introduce them into this world. I mean, they said they were developing a Nightwing movie 6 months ago. I don't know what the status of that is, because apparently that's taking the backseat to the Joker prequel that was announced, as well as this. But this wouldn't star Jared Leto. They're going prequel for some reason because we need Joker's backstory some more, even though we already got it on TV with Gotham. And from what I hear, that's a really good Joker, even though his name is Jerome and he's not actually the Joker. What do you feel about a Jerome movie?
A Jerome movie specifically? Oh,
it's just going to be called Jerome, a DC story.
Produce it. It's the anthology spin-offs of the DC.
Yes.
It's not their numbered titles. I feel like I've just been thrusted into the Ace chemical vat, and I'm drowning because I'm being stuffed, force-fed all these DC movies that I don't want. I just want, give me that Nightwing movie. Just get me that Flash movie out, please, first, before you announce these movies that I couldn't care less about. I don't want to know about Joker's backstory. We kind of been getting hints of it throughout, movies, TV, comics. I mean, right now in the comics, they have that in the Rebirth. They got that 3 Joker theory, and I'm still not sure how I feel about that. The more mystery involving the Joker, the better, because he is a force to be reckoned with. He's a agent of chaos, as they put it in The Dark Knight. And I would like that mystery to remain intact, preferably. I don't really want to know how he became who he is. I know he was a criminal who was the Red Hood, but I don't need to know more outside of that.
Yeah, even in the comics, we don't 100% know how the Joker became the Joker. I mean, you have the Killing Joke, but even that, I don't even think is considered somewhat canon in the comics anymore. I'm not that big of a comic aficionado, but you're right. Every incarnation of the Joker, you really haven't gotten that big of a backstory. And I think that is the best course of action, because some of the best villains you don't know where they came from. Take someone like Jango Fett or Boba Fett, for example. And I'm not the biggest fan of Boba Fett, but a lot of people are. A lot of people love him as a villain. But then when you go back and explore him in the prequels, it kind of ruins it a little bit, because then he's the whiny kid who laughs really funny when his dad unleashes seismic charges on Obi-Wan.
Get him, Dad! Get him! Fire!
Yeah, that's the perfect impression. But when you strip down a villain like that, he kind of loses some of it. Part of what makes the Joker so menacing is that you don't know where he comes from, and he's a complete mystery. And because he's a complete mystery, he's a complete wild card. I think it's very important to note that Batman's villains, a lot of them, you do need to explore their backstories, and you have, because it's so important to their character. Like, as you said, with Two-Face, with Penguin, with Mr. Freeze, it's all about his wife. And if you want to explore villains, those are the villains you explore. But Joker is the one villain in Batman's rogue gallery whose backstory is unimportant because of who he is, and it just doesn't make much sense to explore that, as well as kicking Jared Leto out. Even though not many people were really high on him, you literally just cast him. You can't cast him to the side immediately.
That's true.
But
It's very true.
apparently, they're not casting Messiah immediately, to contradict myself, because
Nope.
yesterday we got some news that Joker and a Harley Quinn movie is coming out as well. So we're getting another Joker movie, but this time, this one is starring Jared Leto and Margot Robbie. What the heck?
The last Joker, the origin story of Joker, had the caveat of actually, in the positive, of being produced by Martin Scorsese.
Oh
Awesome.
yes, I forgot about that.
Cool. Yeah, that in itself is the only thing to get me excited about that. What does this have? I mean, you've just established this movie. Okay, now I'm going to get into my comic side a bit too and the original Batman animated series, but this is not a relationship that I want to see on screen. And the way they treated the relationship between the two of them in Suicide Squad was one of the downfalls of that movie for me. It felt like because in the comics, the Joker is manipulating and using Harley Quinn. And this one, in the Suicide Squad and the DCEU universe, it feels like he genuinely loves her to an abusive standpoint. And she kind of like, oh yeah, totally. It's a mutual loving, understanding relationship, but that's not what that is. And I feel like they're missing an opportunity to tell us a really interesting story. Make it a Harley Quinn movie where we have Margot Robbie going up against the Joker and trying to break free of his control and his manipulation. I don't want a Bonnie and Clyde buddy movie, which is what I was reading in an article a while ago. I don't want that. I want a movie where, because I'm currently reading, I don't read much comics right now because I can't afford that, and you're in college, it's hard to do that and keep track.
Yeah,
but Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti are doing really great, fun Harley Quinn side stories that have just made me really fall in love with the character all over again. I want something like that. She's become a much better character, independent of the Joker, where she's having her own stories with Poison Ivy, with characters that you haven't heard of that much. It's an interesting dynamic when she's away from this abuse in her life. She becomes a much richer character because of that.
Yeah, I will say, I guess I will have to defend this because the people who are on board are, I can't remember the names off the top of my head right now, but they're the people who directed and wrote Crazy Stupid Love and This Is Us, and those are two properties, a movie and a TV show respectively, where they really understood relationships, and it's not all Hollywood relationships, they're complex relationships. And this is the Joker Harley Quinn relationship isn't one that I think should be glorified in any way. Like, I also read The Bonnie and Clyde, and I also read When Harry Met Sally on drugs. And When Harry Met Sally is one of my favorite movies, and that is a romantic movie that is the romantic movie of romantic movies. And adding drugs to that, the description just makes me think they're just going to rev everything up and they're not going to really explore the complex intricacies of this relationship. But with this writer-director duo, they have proven to me in the past that they can explore those complex relationships. They haven't explored something to this extent. But then again, who wants to see that in a big comic book movie? Why are we even spending time to put this into its own film? I don't know anybody who's asking for this.
I'm just hoping that they'll come out maybe in a few weeks. Or like, hey guys, we actually have a plan. Trust us. This will get us somewhere. And I'll be like, okay, sure, why not? What have I got to lose? Because I feel like this has all been reactionary, and I don't want to feel that way. And I don't think they want to feel that way either.
Yeah, it's felt reactionary for a long time, and maybe when Justice League comes out in November, and if that's a hit, that's 2 in a row, then you have
God, please.
2 out of 5 of your movies which are really well received, and then Batman v Superman and Man of Steel, which are lukewarm. By the way, see the extended cut; it makes it a lot better in my opinion. Editing, it's not actually as bad because you get a little bit more explanation as to certain things that happen in the movie. But if Justice League can be good, maybe by then some of this will be cleared up. They'll have a press conference or something. Maybe they'll be at the New York Comic Con to try to explain stuff. But right now, I don't think anybody really knows what's going on. Maybe even Warner
No.
Brothers doesn't know what's going on. So
They're just quietly twiddling their thumbs, having their scones and coffee in the morning. They open up Twitter or their news site, and they're like, "Wait, who announced this? Are we doing this?" And they're just like in the dark. I'm just imagining that happening.
I'm imagining them hiring somebody. They're just hiring temps to come in and pitch movies, and then a week later, they're like, "All right, you're out now. We'll keep your movie. Now let's see what you guys can pitch next. We'll just take them. We're just taking any movies right now. We have a blank check. Someone rich gave us a blank check. We'll do this."
It's like waving a blank check around. Movie here, movie over here.
I just want a Detective Chimpanzee movie. That's all I want. Detective Chimpanzee.
Chimp.
Yeah, sorry.
I want him to appear in the next. I want him to appear in the next Batman movie.
Or a Detective Chimp and Harley movie, a romance movie.
We're getting all Howard the Duck here.
With Matt Reeves because he knows Planet of the Apes. There you go.
Oh my lord, you have cracked the code. We can end it now. Take our money, DC. Take our money.
And speaking of ending it now, I think that's where we're going to end the cinema chat segment. We've had enough talking about DC, I think, for a while. I'm not going to revisit DC for another year. Maybe no, that's a lie. I'll probably talk about DC again eventually. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come right back for the free chat segment where we're going to talk about Marvel's The Defenders, something that is equally dark and somewhat equally divisive, maybe. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back for the free chat segment where we are going to talk more comic book films. Oh, by the way, Manning is still with me. He hasn't left yet.
Oh, hi.
We're going to be talking about the Marvel Netflix shows. We're going to talk about the Marvel Netflix shows because of Defenders. Defenders came out a week from today as of recording, and Manning, you're 5 episodes in. I've finished it as of yesterday, so we're not going to go full spoilers into this quite yet. But what we wanted to do is start off just on general thoughts about the whole Marvel Netflix universe. You know, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, and what our general thoughts are. Let's start with both seasons of Daredevil, just the show overall. What did you think of Daredevil, Manning?
Daredevil. This was the one that really got us started into exactly what the Netflix Marvel shows would be like, and it started off with a bang. I remember people were going crazy when it first came out. They were absolutely loving it, and I was loving it too, because what Charlie Cox managed to do when he became Matt Murdock and really embodied the role, I feel like was perfection. Absolute perfection. And everything that was revolved around him, including Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, perfection. It was strange at first because of the way he portrayed a character that we're not so used to, or portrayed a character in a way that we're so used to. I think he watched the Spider-Man animated series into a different interpretation, but was still menacing. It brought Marvel into a much darker point that was really refreshing, and I loved that.
Yeah, the Netflix shows are a clear departure from any other, the Marvel movies or even the TV shows, because even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter, they had lighter undertones. With this Daredevil first season, there's hardly any jokes at all. There's no the signature Marvel quips that we have come to love and or hate. This show takes place mostly at night, has blood. There is we're going to talk I almost said full suicides for full spoilers, because there's a full suicide in that first season of that show that is absolutely brutal, and that would not fly as a PG-13 in theaters or on TV. I don't know what the ratings are for TV, but you're right. This signaled a very clear path for the Netflix shows as being somewhat darker. But these are also, if Daredevil had one flaw, and this is mostly for season 1, it's really slow. I remember
it's very slow.
I remember when everybody was talking about they were hyping it up, and I tried to watch it, and it took me almost a year to watch Daredevil, the season 1, to be honest. I still love
Really?
it. I love it now, but it took me a long time. I still watched the first few episodes, and then I just stopped. And then I picked it up again, and I loved it. But it's really slow at first.
It is very slow at first. I'm thinking back about it now. It's probably, it was doing a lot of setup because this was basically getting us ready for what was going to be coming. And I enjoyed it. Now looking back, I loved every second I got with them because it was less about him being Daredevil in the beginning and more about him being Matt Murdock. Once we finally got him being Daredevil, which was fantastic. The last episode is called Daredevil, episode 13, and then we finally got that him versus Kingpin. Beautiful, it's fantastic.
Yeah, that show had a monumental task of kind of establishing the entire universe, because from there on out, every single show had characters introduced in Daredevil, so it did carry all that on its shoulders of trying to start this whole Netflix universe. But as you said, episode 13 is great because you finally get to see Daredevil, and then season 2 is just full Daredevil. And I actually prefer season 2 to season 1. A lot of people don't, but I love Punisher, and this might be my bias. I have a crush on Elektra, and I love Elektra as well, and the hand stuff, which is essentially just a backdoor for Defenders.
What would Alicia Vikander think?
Oh, no, that's okay. She's
of this
okay
crush. Okay, all right. I wanted to make sure. The jury's still out on me for Daredevil season 2 and in comparison to season 1, because this has a much stronger opening. Like those first 4 episodes with Daredevil and Punisher are my favorite episodes in all. And then it's still really good. With him with Elektra is also fantastic. But I don't know, the last 4 or 5 maybe episodes just kind of end in a whimper for me. Can we talk spoilers or?
Yeah. We'll talk spoilers for everything but Defenders.
Okay, spoilers for everything but the Defenders. When they killed Elektra, it still hurt me like, oh no, man, this sucks. But outside of that, Nobu was very underwhelming. We didn't have a really clear villain in this second half of the season, and I didn't really understand everything that was going on in the sense of the plan of the hand. It was more of just a force to be reckoned with, and with that, I feel like they were trying to tie up a lot of loose ends, and by rushing, and I don't know, it didn't hit as hard as the first season finale and the last few episodes did. But in reverse, it started off with a much bigger bang. No pun intended. Or maybe pun is intended. I don't know. You'll never know.
Pun is sure.
Pun. Oh, we're done, guys. That's it. We can't go any farther than that.
Yeah, I'll never sit here and try to defend season 2's technical quality over season 1's, because season 1 it's a perfect crime comic book drama TV show. Yeah. Whereas season 2 kind of goes off the rails a little bit and has an identity crisis. Yes. But
that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm here for the words.
I couldn't think of it.
But I just overall love season 2 more as a rewatchability standpoint. But something that has a real strange rewatchability, but is also probably the darkest, is Jessica Jones.
100% agree.
And I think that's a lot due in part a lot to David Tennant's performance as the Purple Man. He's not really the Purple Man, he's just Kilgrave in this, but he is terrifying in Jessica Jones.
This I 100% agree with you. This is the only show that I've watched through. Wait, no, I watched the first season of Daredevil twice, but I watched the first season of Jessica Jones twice because it's just so good. David Tennant, the Doctor as the villain Kilgrave, is terrifying. The themes they present in there are fantastic.
Yeah, Jessica Jones really tells a great message, and is I saw a lot of victims of PTSD point to that show and be like, this is a really good example and portrayal of someone going through PTSD and
Yeah.
abusive relationships and all that, and it tackles a lot more than any other of the a lot more social issues that any other of the Netflix shows have, any other movies. A lot of movies nowadays, just not even Marvel movies, just movies period, haven't tackled the subjects that Jessica Jones has tackled as well as Jessica
Yes.
Jones did. But moving on to Luke Cage, which did attempt to tackle some issues, and I think
Yeah.
that it did to a certain point, but this is another show that really has an identity crisis, because I didn't finish
Yeah.
it. I got to,
Oh.
I got halfway, and since we're talking spoilers, I got up until Cottonmouth died, and then I stopped watching because I got bored.
Sounds about right. As someone who has finished it, I had to force myself away because Diamondback he is such an underwhelming villain. That final episode of Luke Cage is one of the most is probably to me my least favorite ending out of all these seasons that I've seen. It's so anticlimactic because the fight barely lasts the entire thing, and I know that's not the point of the fight. It's not the end. It's about more of the impact that he has had on Harlem, Luke. And I cared about Mike Coulter as Luke. He was probably one of the best parts about the show. Him and his coffee, getting with all the basically all the females in the show. But as you mentioned, the scene stealer of this show was a Cottonmouth, Academy Award winner Mahershala Ali. Yeah, I was about to say I forgot his name. I feel terrible. The Academy Award winner. He is magnetic. I just could not keep my eyes off of him because he commanded the screen with his presence. He showed you that you actually wanted to follow him. Similar, I guess, to you know what, the Netflix show for most part has done a very great job with its villains in comparison to the Marvel movies, and that's probably saying something.
Yeah, I think just to play devil's advocate, they have a lot more time to flesh out their villains. And because it's just a movie, they want to focus on both, so you get both sides and kind of get more development on their villains, which I guess is kind of hypocritical as per our talk with the Joker before. But again, Joker's a different character, a different type of villain. But with Cottonmouth, Mahershala Ali has just this type of screen presence. The minute he walked on screen, you're like, oh shit, this guy's bad, and I'm scared of him. I should be scared of him. And Luke Cage also tried to tackle those social issues in terms of race and kind of overcoming a lot of that in certain modern times we live in. And I think that it did, and then it kind of just fell apart and got kind of boring with Diamondback. The clips that I have seen of that fight, it reminded me of Rocky V, which isn't good. So I guess we can leave that at that. Speaking of not good, the last one we can talk about is Iron Fist.
Oh.
I have not even watched a single episode of this, I'll be honest, so you can talk about Iron Fist.
I recently I've after being left out in the cold with the ending of Luke Cage, I wasn't excited about Iron Fist, and then when the reviews came out, definitely wasn't as excited as I should have been, and then I kind of kept it off until last week, and I watched it expecting garbage, and I got McDonald's. It's food. I mean, it's not great, but it's not like I can't eat it. It's just something that's it's digestible, but it's not something it could have been so much better. And the problem was not the acting. Of course, there were some atrocious moments. It felt like the writing and the direction were really off. I don't feel like the character, what they tried to do with Danny, I don't blame Finn Jones that much in what he did. I feel like what he was written and the way Danny was written as this kind of spoiled, aloof character really annoyed me, got under my skin a lot of the time. But thankfully, the saving graces of this was Colleen Wing. Wait, is that her last name?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to make sure. I'm about to say, wait, I forgot her last name. And actually, Ward Meacham. surprisingly. People, I don't know what people think on his character because I haven't really read many reviews outside of the initial reviews that happened a while ago. I loved Ward meeting with this. At first, I thought, oh, he's your typical alpha male douche, but he is such a complex character at the end of the story, and I actually was kind of disappointed that so far we don't have him in Defenders. Because he's from a guy who goes to hate Iron Fist and hate Danny to someone who respects him. And we see the torture he receives, the psychological torture from his dad, and just the drug addiction that he has. It's all these complex issues that are coming together. And Hope is fine. She doesn't get a lot to do, but she's also a great foil to Ward and Danny. But it's never good when all the supporting characters are more interesting than your lead. And that's where the downfall of Iron Fist happened. It's so meh. It just doesn't seem like it needs to be in the same sentence as the other ones.
Yeah, the only saving grace I see about this is Madame Gao's in it, and I freaking love Madame Gao.
Yes!
She's awesome.
Yes!
But yeah, imagine my surprise when I just found out that Madame Gao revealed that she had telekinesis in Iron Fist, and then when in Defenders, when there's a scene where she uses it, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Why is she force pushing this person? Where did she even get these powers? But I guess that's what I get for skipping Iron Fist.
You're not missing much. Just know that Danny is the immortal Iron Fist and the sworn enemy of the Hand. Colleen likes him for some reason because he's pretty to look at, and the Meacham twins aren't twins. The Meacham brother-sister duo are not that bad. They're actually pretty good guys. And Faramir is in it, and he was a wasted character.
That's really sad. I guess that's we're gonna end on a really sad note, I guess, because we've run out of time. Hopefully, I'll be able to talk about Defenders in the future. Once I'll give most of the people time to catch up, including you, Manning, to catch up, and we can talk about it. After you finish.
I'm enjoying it so far.
It is a lot better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I will say that. It's a lot better. And I will add the caveat that Luke Cage brings out the best in Danny Rand. As someone who's seen him in kind of like a stone wall in the previous ones, he definitely brings out the best in him, and I'm actually okay with how he's being written in this one in comparison to the last season.
Luke Cage brings out the best in everybody.
Yeah, he does.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on, Manning.
And Misty Knight. Okay, I'm done. Next thing you know, it'll be Matt.
Next you'll know it's Colleen jumping ship.
Oh no! Poor we bash him, and the next thing you know, Luke Cage takes off.
Yeah, so thank you for coming on, Manning. This was really fun making puns and analogies with you. Where can people find your stuff other than literally everything you edit on this channel?
You can find me on Twitter at @like_Peyton. If I ever do decide to tweet something, it'll be something semi-witty and something that'll provide hopefully a revelation into my life or a sneak preview. But yeah. Find me some of my videos at my YouTube channel, Manny Franks. And yeah, always check out Super News Mondays at 6 Eastern Time, where I edit for Chris Kiku. And yeah, and Geek Pulse Radio. Check out all the things that we have here because I edit the Geek Pulse Radio podcast specifically because, I do everything apparently.
Again, one of the hardest working guys I know. You can find me, as always, at mchinquee_96 on Twitter or CQ_chats for just podcast things. Be sure to check out all the other shows on the iTunes network, on the Geek Pulse Radio network, including the Geek Pulse Radio show, edited by Manning Franks, who does a much better job editing than I do on my show. I have a lot to learn.
Well, you do a much better job of talking than I do.
Thank you. Again, as always, if you guys made it all the way to the end, thank you for listening. And until next week, we'll chat with you guys next week again. See, that is not the greatest way to end, but chat with you guys next week.
I jinxed you. I'm sorry.
Bye.
I'm just looking for puns in all drawn places.
Okay, that's enough.